It's new Mega Drive game time, always nice to see. This is Astebros, a new game from Neofid Studios, who created the awesome Demons of Asteborg a couple of years ago. Astebros is a prequel to that game, and although they have similarities, the gameplay is quite different. I backed this project on Kickstarter, but Neofid kindly sent over this gorgeous press kit for review. It's in a lovely presentation box similar to the one Demons of Asteborg came in, and it contains loads of goodies. The box is thick cardboard with a magnetic flap. Inside we have the game obviously. Neofid sent me all 3 region sleeves. I've selected the classic Mega Drive style for mine, but there's also a Japanese sleeve and a North American Genesis sleeve. The artwork looks fantastic, and again they've made a game that will sit well among any collection of Mega Drive games. Inside we have the cart. The label is the Genesis version on this one, again with that fantastic artwork. And then we have the manual and some stickers. The manual is great quality, it details a lot of the gameplay elements, introduces the characters and outlines the story. Perhaps most useful are the pages showing what the in-game items and modifiers do. The rest of the press kit is an assortment of goodies. Some more stickers, these rather well made collector cards featuring the playable characters and some of the game's enemies. More stickers. In here we have some postcards with some promotional artwork, and yet more stickers. Then we have some glossy art prints slightly larger than the postcards. These 3 images are snapshots from the game's intro. And then we have a double-sided poster. Lastly is this USB stick nestled in the foam insert here. This is the same design as the one that came with Demons of Asteborg and contains the digital press kit. So on here we have the ROM, soundtrack, artwork and other promotional material. Nice idea. It's made of metal and feels just fantastically well made. It's got a decent weight to it. So that's the Astebros press kit. There's a link below if you want to order yourself a copy of Astebros, and a demo link too, so you can try it out before you buy. A fully boxed copy will set you back €79, but there's also a €59 cartridge only option and a ROM only version for a mere €18. Onto the game itself. As usual, I'm playing this on an original Mega Drive via an OSSC. Astebros is a roguelite, so it features randomly generated dungeons, and when you die you lose all of your bonus items and skills, but don't lose your progress. I'm quite late with this review, partly because life is very busy, but partly because I wanted to play this a lot before expressing a final opinion, and this game has a level of depth to its mechanics that quite surprised me. But rest assured, I have played this a lot to completion and always want to give you guys an in-depth analysis. In Astebros you can play as one of 3 characters or team up with a mate and play co-op. The 3 characters are the Knight, the Ranger and the Mage, introduced in spectacular fashion in the intro sequence. Each character has his or her own skills and advantages, so you can choose which one suits your playstyle or perhaps just a particular level. The story is set long before the events of Demons of Asteborg, with the 3 heroes exploring Asteborg's lands, searching for treasures and taking on its evil inhabitants. It's not a very deep story, but the rough outline is detailed in the intro. The controls are A to attack, B to jump and C to dash. On a 6-button pad you can also use the mode button to dash, which is actually nicely positioned for this. And you will use dash a lot. It's an essential tool if you want to survive, but I'll come back to that shortly. Every character has a double jump, which is executed simply by pressing B twice, and you can delay the second jump a bit. Do this combined with a dash and you'll reach even the loftiest platforms. Press down and B on a platform to jump down. Holding down and C drops a bomb, which can be used to blow up reinforced loot chests or open up hidden passages. The other controls differ from character to character. The Ranger and Mage have a sliding attack executed by pressing down and A, and each character has a special activated by pressing up and C. The Knight uses melee weapons, swords, hammers and so on, so combat will always be close quarters. The Knight can press down and A in the air to perform an aerial attack on enemies from above. Pressing up and C performs a counter, and if timed right it delivers a critical hit. The mage uses magic scepters to produce ranged attacks from a variety of distances depending on which one is equipped. All attacks use magic power, which is indicated by a meter at the top left under the health meter. Deplete this MP and the rate of attacks will slow down significantly. Pressing up and C gives the mage unlimited MP for a short time. And lastly, the ranger, who uses guns, bows and arrows and crossbows. Pressing up and C summons a companion animal if the ranger has collected the pet food item. This animal will then follow you around and attack enemies. Every character has an MP meter, but the ranger and knight use this only for the special. The mage's standard attacks also use MP. The beauty of these characters wasn't just in their variety, but in how my opinions of them changed as I played more of the game. In the early game I found the knight to be by far my favourite character, but as the game progressed and I understood the mechanics more, I found the mage to be the better character. That was true in the mid game, but going into the later game it was the ranger that I found to be the most powerful. So I got to experience the best of all three characters as I played Astebros and appreciated the strength and respective abilities of all of them. So rest assured, if you're playing co-op, you'll never be left with an unsatisfying character with which to play. I think having completed the game, the Ranger is my favourite overall. She has the best ranged attacks and some superb weapon upgrades once you've unlocked them. The levels of the game are split into different areas, each containing 2 bosses. Fight your way through a randomly generated dungeon and make your way to the boss. After defeating the boss, you're awarded an orb and you use these orbs to unlock more areas. As I said, each area has 2 bosses, so you'll do this twice per area, earning 2 orbs. There are 6 areas in all, so 12 bosses and 12 orbs to collect. Then you unlock the final stage and face the final boss. The world is presented as this top-down map, which feels delightfully 16-bit. From here you can travel to any of the game's areas and access them provided you have the required number of orbs. The centre of the map is your camp, and this is the sort of central hub of Astebros. From here you can switch to any of the 3 characters at any time. I love this, you're not required to select any one character and stick with them for the duration of the game. You can pick and choose as you go, selecting the character that you feel is best suited to each individual level. And as I mentioned, your opinion of each of them may evolve as you play the game. The camp also homes merchants where you can buy different things. These merchants need to be rescued from dungeons before they can be brought back to camp, at which point they'll set up shop. There's a general shop selling bonuses like health, dungeon maps, fire and poison resistance and other power-ups. A bard who will play you music from the game. A blacksmith who will forge weapons from schematics you find throughout the dungeons. And the oracle who sells magical spells called vows. This absolutely baffled me, and I did buy one of them, but I had no idea what it actually did. In the end, after completing the game, I asked Neofid what these do. The vows are used to guarantee a special room appears in the next dungeon you'll play. I'll touch on these rooms in a minute, so I'll expand on this then. The camp also has a bestiary showing you information on all the game's enemies, and there's a hidden area to the left of the camp which gives you extra abilities. These areas open up after every 2 orbs you collect, so make sure you pop back here every so often to collect your bonus. These include abilities like Run, which is done by double tapping in a direction, and a compass which negates the need to collect maps in dungeons and so on. Each time you play a dungeon it will be randomly generated. If you die you return to camp, minus any weapons and bonuses you've obtained, so this game really rewards you if you don't die. Not only that, but some goblins will come along to rob you while you're down, so you'll have to mash the A button to fight them off. The longer they're there, the more money they'll steal from you. At one point I dropped a biscuit on the floor as I was playing, and by the time I'd retrieved it I'd lost 73 coins. If you do die and return to camp, the dungeon will be completely different when you revisit it. This also adds some welcome replayability to Astebros, as no 2 playthroughs will ever be alike. There's also a bit of choice in the order in which you play the levels. As long as you have sufficient orbs to access an area, you can play them in whichever order you see fit. Finding one dungeon particularly hard, go to a different one and come back later when you're a bit stronger. Dungeons are made up of a sequence of individual rooms. The layout is displayed at the top as a simple map that reminds me of the maps in games like Link's Awakening. You can collect a dungeon map if you find the right treasure chest, which shows you the entire level. Otherwise, the map just displays rooms you've already accessed and adjacent exits. Most rooms in the dungeons are filled with basic enemies. The enemies are really varied and each area has unique enemies, so you'll need to learn their attack patterns and movements. Each enemy has a weakness you can exploit, and using that dash move will be of paramount importance. While you dash, you don't take damage, so you can use this to avoid enemy attacks and counter, or to quickly dash to an enemy's rear, leaving them open to attack. Like in its predecessor Demons of Asteborg, some rooms will display the word fight when you enter, indicating that you won't be able to exit the room until you defeat all the enemies within it. Otherwise, you're free to ignore and avoid enemies on your way, but defeating enemies will grant you precious loot, and defeating all of a dungeon's enemies awards you a treasure at the end. Loot is dropped not only by fallen enemies, but also by their skeletal remains, which you can hit for an extra coin. It's a good idea to shoot these anyway, as they got in the way of a ranged attack on an enemy once or twice during my playthrough. Loot can also be collected from treasure chests strewn throughout the levels, but watch out because occasionally they're monsters in disguise. Loot is basically money to spend in the camp, health, bombs or unlockables. Unlockables are stuff like the weapon schematics, bestiary pages and so on, all the stuff you can access back at camp. Health top-ups come in several flavours. Red hearts and stakes will restore your health up to your current max HP. Blue hearts and stakes are essentially bonus health, so they will actually add to your max HP until they're depleted. You'll also find materials which are used by the blacksmith to forge weapons. So although an affordable process, unlocking new weapons isn't as simple as collecting the schematic and paying the smith. You'll also need the raw materials, and they can be few and far between. Each of the three characters has a variety of weapons to unlock, like the powerful sword Ragnarok for the knight, or one of my personal favourites, the ranger's glitch bow. And it's not like you buy the weapon and then instantly have it, you're basically hoping it'll appear at the start of a dungeon. As you enter each dungeon, there will be a random weapon unique to your chosen character. You can choose to pick it up or keep whatever you already have equipped. One of the later orb bonuses, and by far the best, awarded after collecting 10 orbs, is that these weapon stores will cycle through all unlocked weapons, so you can choose exactly the weapon you want every time. Having the best weapon to hand will make all the difference in this game, especially with the bosses. It's not easy by any means, and some of the bosses are hard as nails. There are also keys to collect which open a variety of doors in the dungeons, usually to one of the special rooms. The number of keys and bombs you have is displayed at the top left by your health and MP meters. Here you'll also see any spell scrolls the mage has collected, which are used to enter the unlimited MP Fury mode by pressing up and C, or the ranger's pet food items used to summon a companion. The in-game pause menu shows you all sorts, your currently equipped weapon and its stats, the full dungeon map, any equipped modifiers, your collected materials and the controls. Now onto the special rooms. These aren't all guaranteed to appear in any one dungeon, and that's where we come back to the mystery of the Oracle's vows. The vows, if purchased in the camp, will guarantee that its respective special room will appear in your next dungeon. So if you want to guarantee one of these will appear, you can buy the relevant vow. The rooms are the boss room. These of course always appear as every dungeon has a boss. If you defeat all the enemies in a dungeon, you'll find a chest here with some extra loot. There's also a portal to the start of the game which you can open by spending a set amount of coins. This amount varies as the game progresses, starting at 50 and going up in increments of 50 from there. Opening these portals is essential as it gives you a direct line back to the boss fight, so if you die fighting a boss, and believe me you will many times, you can head back straight from camp into the boss fight. Treasure rooms award you some loot and a modifier. Modifiers are extra abilities and bonuses for your character, and there are a great many, all detailed in the game's manual, but a lot of these are detrimental, so be careful which you collect. These modifiers are so varied. Good ones include stuff like double coin value, double keys and bombs and damage bonuses, There's one listed in the manual that I didn't get, which is a set of wings that grants you an extra jump. That would be an absolute game changer for boss fights. Some are sort of risk reward, like you'll deal double damage but also take double damage. And some are just downright rubbish, like you do double damage but can't have more than one hit point in total. I found myself frequently consulting the modifier pages in the manual to decide which ones I should and shouldn't collect. You can have 2 equipped, so if you collect a third you'll drop one of your current ones. You can then pick up and drop as many times as you want, so it lets you decide which combination of 2 out of the available 3 you want to continue with. There's the prison room. This is where you rescue the merchants for your camp. Once all the merchants are saved, these prison rooms will reward you with a music track scroll for the bard. The fairy room contains a magical fairy who will increase your maximum health by half a heart for 100 coins. Seems reasonable, but remember that being a roguelite, you'll lose any bonuses upon dying, so again it really pays to stay alive. The sacrifice room lets you exchange hearts for a modifier. This isn't just a case of sacrificing some health which you can then top up later, it actually depletes your max HP. There aren't really any modifiers which I think are particularly worth this trade-off. Occasionally there's a sort of tavern where you can partake in some mushroom soup. This doesn't cost anything, the guy is more than willing for you to sample this delicacy free of charge. But the soup was clearly made from mushrooms of the magic variety, because if you do eat some, you'll absolutely trip your balls off. And then the mini boss rooms. This just involves beating a simple mini boss and then you're awarded a weapon upgrade. But remember, this weapon will be any random weapon of those you've unlocked for that character unless you already have the 10 or bonus, in which case they will again cycle through and let you choose. Boss fights are by far the highlight of Astebros. The whole game is really just you trying to get to the next one. They're so varied and really ingenious. In fact, Astebros has arguably the most inventive selection of bosses on the Mega Drive. Learning these bosses' attack patterns is vital, and you'll likely die several times before you suss out the best tactic. This is why unlocking those portals is so important. Some highlights for me were this guy who throws lit candles at you which you have to shoot into the fireplace in order to light it, making him vulnerable. And this fairground levels boss is just so unique, making you successfully perform a series of circus acts before getting the chance to strike at the boss. Fail and the crowd will pelt you with rotten veg. Some of the bosses were so tough that they took me many attempts, but the sense of satisfaction when finally defeating them is just fantastic. Later bosses can really strain your health meter, so obtaining extra hearts can really be make or break. You can go back to earlier stages and grind to get some cash together to buy some bonuses from the shopkeeper at camp. Extra hearts cost 50, and these are the blue hearts that actually extend your max health temporarily, so you can buy a few of these to really get your health up prior to returning to a difficult boss fight. Co-op play is very enjoyable, and Astebros was really developed with this in mind. You can team up with a buddy to take on the dungeons and bosses, and for all intents and purposes the gameplay is exactly the same. When one of you dies, the character will become a ghost, able to float around the levels and pass through solid objects. Attacks are limited while in this ghost form. If the living player collects a golden feather, they can revive their teammate. We haven't touched on the graphics yet, as I thought it best to discuss that after you'd had time to see for yourselves just how nice this game looks. The graphics are wonderfully detailed with oodles of little touches in the levels, some lovely parallax scrolling effects, and each area offers something unique to appreciate. And animations are nice and smooth too. Neofid have really nailed the presentation of the game as much as they did with the packaging. The music is equally well executed. Several composers are credited, including the awesome Savage Regime, who created the soundtrack for Xenocrisis. It takes you through the whole gamut of emotions, from whimsical fairground music right up to triumphant heroism and then back down to sinister. I played this for well over 10 hours writing this review, and I didn't tire of the soundtrack once. As you've probably guessed by now, I absolutely love this game. I think I probably prefer it to Demons of Asteborg, but it took a while for me to really appreciate it, and that's really just testament to the depth of the gameplay. There's a lot to work out, but when you do, you get a great deal out of Astebros. It was hugely challenging, but so rewarding at the same time, and I can't wait to play the whole thing again knowing what I know now. And because it's randomly generated, it won't be quite the same as last time. You definitely need to add this to your collection without a doubt, but for newcomers to Mega Drive indie games, this might be as good a place as any to start. And that ROM only option is more accessible to those just wanting to dip their toes in, rather than go for the full-blown boxed version. Of course, many of you watching are collectors, and the well-made packaging of Astebros will sit nicely among your other Mega Drive games. The Mega Drive is just going from strength to strength lately. Thanks for watching.